Hey, it's David here. We are live at Ford Field, Siemens Manufacturing America Conference. Been going to this is the 19th annual North American Siemens Manufacturer Conference. This is Ford Field where the Detroit Lions play, if anyone's familiar with this. I've actually never been here for anything other than engineering conferences, but they rent out the whole stadium. You can see they even have Siemens Manufacturer America written in the green. Ford Field conference is there. Maybe I could actually show some of the VIP seats. As there's no game. The only thing happening here today is the Siemens Manufacturing America conference. So I'm just going to grab a seat and ramble for a few minutes. I'm not sure if anyone's going to tune in, or if they do, I have the chat open. So maybe I'll even be able to do some interviews. I mean, not interviews, but you'll go around and have technology demonstrations. So let's give a little update to preview. Siemens, obviously, von Herman Siemens was one of the greatest scientists in the history, like 150 years ago. I think he created the dynamo and developed certain technologies for electronics, and you had Edison, who developed electricity in America, and Siemens largely develops electricity in Europe. And when I first came here, I'd been to University of Michigan, background in physics. I'd taken electrical engineering, although the advanced mathematics at the higher level was very complicated. They should have open punt kicking. See the booth down, people will be able to get onto the field. Its conference actually seems smaller this year, but they allow people to get onto the field and do like a practice punt. I've never done that, but you might see people soon, lining up. That's what's there on the field for conference participants. So I bought the history of Siemens, and I was like, as a Jew, like I knew Siemens in World War II, and God forbid the Holocaust. A lot of people work for Siemens, and it's an interesting history. So I first came to this conference and like meet all these German engineers. I'm researching Holocaust history, and obviously Siemens has been in operation for over 150 years. So but that's not for today's stream. I more want to show the technology most recent available. Been coming to this for years. They have Siemens is pretty high grade, so you don't see them advertised. They're one of the largest companies in the world, most important companies in the world. They don't advertise. A lot of people have never heard of them, but they make electronic components for devices. And instead of advertising like at a Super Bowl or something like that, or on TV, they make these free conferences where they basically teach people how to use their equipment for free. You can see, like, here they've rented out the stadium, and they actually have they have events teaching how to use the different software in the media room and all over the building. From the locker rooms to the upstairs on so it's a pretty neat building, pretty amazing here. And they have multiple different conferences all day, demonstrating different most recent technology. And Siemens largely make a whole bunch of things. They probably make like tens of thousands of different components, but the most here you can see the VIP suites. Some of them are actually open. You could sit on them. You get the Ford box. The actual Ford family has a special box here. And but Siemens makes these special components for largely manufacture or large buildings control systems, where these electrical devices will send signals to control processes, and they could be programmed. And it's pretty complicated electrical engineering. So hopefully I'm going to go, if people are friendly, maybe I'll even get some top engineers and scientists from all over the world. This is an international conference, probably hundreds of people from Germany, as Siemens is headquartered in Germany. And actually, I was extremely surprised how nice these German engineers have been to me. Yeah, might have connection issues. See, interference in the reception. these latest control system devices in simulations for factory floors. Engineers from all over the world that are demonstrating, largely to sell the equipment. As I said, this is their form of advertising. So this would be like control systems for factory floors. Um, Last year I sat down and had these people demonstrate all of this to me. Say a lot of these scientists come from all over the world. I have thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of pages of their reading material, these pamphlets and booklets explaining how to use this. So a minor reception problem. So let me go to a different area, and I'll probably come back after I've done live streaming and pick up reading material, maybe speak to some people. Let's see if I could actually get some of the engineers to demonstrate for my live stream the latest equipment. That area is pretty interesting. For some reason, I have reception problems there. You can see engineering is pretty multicultural and international. Siemens obviously is an international company. The way electronics works is different in the U.S. than the rest of the world. Largely, you have the U.S. and the Germanic systems that most of the world uses the Germanic systems, and the English-speaking countries use the U.S. systems. Maybe you've noticed that if you traveled internationally and you get your chargers or sockets, electronics are different, but the way companies wire is different, so they have different devices for European components than U.S. components. So they have a lot of sister companies for manufacturing that participate in the conference. Turk, I have thousands of pages of these brochures of what they make, and these are largely sensors for manufacturing, where you put something on the line and you could test for all different type things, pressure, temperature. They plug into these devices. So these devices right here are, I think they call them PLCs, and those are the electronic control boxes that control what the systems are doing, and the sensors plug into them. So different type sensors. I've taken pictures of this for the last few years, but these would go on manufacture. I'll go down to the main floor and they'll have examples of how this would play into a complete manufacturing solutions for, here Metro Detroit, home of, it's Ford Field, home of Ford, automobile manufacturer and other manufacturers, hence Siemens has their North American conference here. So you see all the different types of sensors and devices, control systems, notifying systems. Put a lot of it on display. Here's your RFID, radio frequency identification devices that you could attach to the devices, and then the sensors would be able to see exactly where the components are in the process. I've been through in the past, and I'm saying there's more than one mind could understand. There's so many different devices that these big companies like Electromatic, they make tens of thousands of devices. So it's really beyond, here's LAP. They make cables, specialize in cables. One company that just makes cables. I've read through their books in the past, but all different types of electric wiring for different purposes, different reasoning. It's really mind-boggling, and say no one mind could understand all of this different things. So me as a civil engineer, general scientist, I have a pretty good understanding of what this stuff is used for in the basic science, but it's beyond one mind to really grasp and understand what's going on. So get a feel. Here you got your electric sign makers and your lighting, like switching over the lights to the newer technology, more energy efficient lights, cost more money but last longer. And then the control systems will feed into signs. On Facebook I have tours of some of these devices, but like obviously if you have a manufacturing floor and you need information passed along to industrial displays, to the people on the floor, or even for entertainment purposes like here at Ford Field. So Electromatic makes these. In the past, they've had robots that play basketball, golf. They try to make it fun because engineers from different companies are sent here from all over the world for this conference. And yeah, I guess golf is popular, basketball is popular. Um, so this is pretty interesting. We even got open bar, serve alcohol here. It's America. I mean, maybe all over that's how they do it, but you got alcohol being served. I have so many booklets here of this stuff. I've been reading through it. I've never actually been able to practice professionally any of this. Most of this equipment is extremely expensive and would only be applicable for projects that cost many millions of dollars. My parents' house actually has a Siemens electrical control system, which you might say is something about the house my parents live in. That's extremely uncommon for Siemens to be used for an electrical home device, unless you have a very large house. More likely for manufacturing plants and industrial facilities or large buildings. So university buildings, commercial buildings in cities might have a Siemens control system, but they're very expensive. So I said, unless you're spending millions of dollars, it's unlikely you would be using the equipment here. So here's the main floor. I came during lunchtime. Today's Purim, so I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to make it. I've came in past years. Looks like the conference is smaller, but they'll put on display some of their equipment, how it's used. I've been through a lot of this stuff. The first time I came to this conference, it was just overwhelming. Like, what is this stuff? How do they use it?
My God.
What's all this used for? And even a background in science. So you have basically every element of manufacturing represented here. Here you have like boxes for a Brundlefly. Yeah, I'm trying to switch like JF and get more technology streaming. I'm planning on doing public study sessions on engineering, maybe get back to work. So data centers, large facilities that collect data, like YouTube, all the video equipment that stores this stuff. So the electrical boxes or the cooling systems used for these. So this company, Riddle, I'm not sure if they're American or German or both. They have some new equipment. There's usually people here that are happy to explain what it is, but these would be boxes for electrical devices to be controlled, and these might specialize for like cooling and data centers. So as I mentioned, the wiring works different in Germany and America. And in the past years, they have whole special breakout sessions where the scientists explain how to use this stuff. But if you were in a manufacturing plant that had these PLC systems that control equipment, you would have a box that stored it. It might have to be special cooling or heat controlled like you see here. And it would be set up where you could, just plug and play, as they call it, with these devices. So great stuff. You got ePlan here, the company that helps you make the plan out a facility for your automation. Another plan. I've read their material. I've been coming for a few years, but they're also let me see if any of these are new. I've been collecting this reading material for years. So they'll show some of their previous years and major projects that they've done. But this is a company that if you wanted to create a manufacturing plant, might completely design, control the construction, turnkey solutions. That was the field that I was supposed to get into, but never worked out this way. Here's Data Logic, another sponsor. This sensor equipment, for example, I don't know if these are like soap or water, but whatever it is, you could imagine a huge plant that's bottling something, making something and bottling it. And then you might have all these different electric sensors along the line that are collecting different information, monitoring temperature, pressure. Hey, God bless. I was live streaming, just recording some of this.
Oh, that's all right.
I've been coming here for many years, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, God bless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gemeisler.
Yeah, Dave Kelton, local civil engineer.
Oh, okay. So we specialize in packaging machinery,
Hmm.
supporting devices for packaging machinery. So vision tools here, barcode tools on the other side, safety tools on the outside here. So all different things that you use in a manufacturing environment.
Awesome.
Okay,
Yeah, you're great
I'll
stuff.
leave you be.
God bless.
All right, you too.
Yeah, so the first time I came, I would need someone to explain to me what all this stuff is, what it does. Now I basically know the companies, what they do, what all this stuff does. It's pretty complicated. You look like, what the hell is this stuff? So here you probably have the, special camera. This, might be feeding into the display there, where you see the camera, giving a high tech feed, and there could be different reasons. They could be reading sensors. Um, I could have asked them to see exactly what all these different sensors do. Um, they could be monitoring different things. Um, so Siemens obviously is one of the leading companies. Last year, actually, when they had their competitor Johnson Controls, Allen Bradley, that does similar things. But so all of these different things that might be useful to monitor and put into a central control system and to give feedback on the display to the controllers is on display here. So all the different sensors feeding into the system, and then that'd be a monitor where people would be able to monitor it. I'm not sure if these are touchable. It's not touchable. Sometimes you can touch and control it with the screen. And here's the makeup control system for some sort of manufacturer. This is probably actual configuration for this plant manufacturing that would be operating if it's like a CNC or drill type thing, and you see all the different electrical controls. And actually, some of this actually uses artificial intelligence, could be in these. And I don't know well enough to actually know what these different devices are and which one you would need to control. You picture a factory machine that is controlling some automated device that does the same thing again and again and again, and it's pre-programmed and controlled by a central control system like this. And all the different type connectors, series. I have books and books and books of these, and I've never actually been able to use any of these, but what the difference is that. So, more devices, more displays. And, so this, as I say, we're in Detroit auto manufacturing, home manufacturing, where, a box like this would be the electrical control systems for multiple heavy machinery. People talk about automation a lot in the future of it, like Yang Gang and stuff like that. And I'm just a civil engineer. I'm not an electrical engineer. Siemens is an electrical engineering company, but this is automation at play. We got, and say they collect together all the different supporting companies that would be needed to manufacture. So here's a company that sells boxes, gates, cages, fortress interlocks for heavy machinery. A lot of times you could be dangerous to people, so you need cages built around it, supporting companies. I have books and books of what they make. As an example, simple control system, Festo, just a simple device that would pick up something and move it to a different thing, and that control box would be able to control. I'll probably come and gather some of this technology. So Siemens gathers together different companies that make supporting equipment, but the majority of what's here is Siemens equipment. Devices. We got here looks like a metal filament printer. So these machines cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. People are familiar with metal filament 3D printing. So I have a lot of plastic ones. So this is a big conference that they've brought one of these expensive machines out. So this is currently 3D printing in steel device. Here's an example of 3D printed parts. And yeah, I have booklets, and there's a whole bunch of different specifications and parts that they might make. And these machines cost hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. Um, Here's just an example of a plastic 3D printer that people are probably more common. You could already buy for a few $100s a 3D printer. Obviously, the metal filament printers cost still the cheapest ones are hundreds of thousands of dollars. But these 3D plastic printers have already entered the market and are definitely advanced. And I might even do a public study session on the state of 3D printing and how that's changing industry and manufacture. And I'm more academic, so actually on a more global understanding, my understanding might be better than some of the engineers that usually have to specialize, because I wouldn't actually know how to operate any of this equipment. I have more general science background. You got flex floor. Looks like they got it. I'm not sure if that's going around the track. Usually a cool Fourier automation. That was the company there that designs systems for manufacturers. So if you did want to make something and had millions of dollars to make a factory, and so a lot of times you just bring out cool gadgets or display. So you got industrial PCs as opposed to the type PCs everyone uses in their house. You get the handheld displays. If you tour factory floors, you see that now a lot of times the control systems are mounted on the factory floor, like a hospital where you have computers like every 50 feet or so and people could log in, or you have the handheld devices that would show you what's being done on the factory floor, and you could walk around, and you have special security and clearance. So it's lunch right now, so it's actually better. There's less people walking, easier to live stream. And I'll come after I'm going to walk around and talk through some of this, and then I'll probably gather around and talk to some more people or live stream. So this is the DMC is Detroit Medical Center, but here that means something different. Not sure if it's like some sort of pressure, liquid. So they have all different types of monitoring companies for any type of use, for gas to metal widgets, control systems. Yeah, I'm going to come back and gather all this reading material. And I have tens of thousands of pages of reading material I've been reading for years. Hey, God bless, good to see you. It's a local professor from Oakland University. So here they have recruiting from the local universities. And, I've been coming to these conferences for years. So these are actually the local universities. And it's interesting, the community colleges, that the type technical training that's used for operating machinery isn't really taught in universities. So it's mostly the smaller community college. Here we even have like a local high school robotics teams. A lot of times I think they even have TV shows where they have these competitions to make robots that shoot balls and stuff like that. So they usually come to these conferences, and concepts of multiculturalism, just what's going on, to who's actually interested in technology and robotics. So you got Lawrence Tech, State University of New York, coming all the way here, Eastern Michigan, Canadian College, University of Toledo, like an hour south of Detroit in Ohio, Wayne State University, Planet M, some sort of local manufacturing training thing. Like video games, trying to get younger people interested in technology. Washington Community College, 3D printing is pretty popular. So here you have cheaper ones that you might even be able to get for a few $100s. So here they have 2 3D printers operating simultaneously. So they actually had a metal filament printer on display here, which are very expensive. But these days you could get 3D. You could get 3D plastic printers for even a few $100s, and so kids in high school, playing around. Multiculturalism in action here, and anyone in the business field sees this trend. And hence I really had to take 2 years out of my life where I've basically been a science technology geek, uh, but just trying to navigate world politics and multiculturalism and all the debates. If people follow me on YouTube, somewhat came from these conferences, just like knowing the history and who are all these people, how is it possible to get along, and the field of just getting the machinery and the factories working, where you just have to trust the expertise. So here they have lectures. We're in the lunch break now, so 1 o'clock, industrial security, and pretty cool. So I'll do the complete walk around here another little bit, and then I'll probably grab some reading material and get out of here, because today's the Purim holiday. There you got so the digitalization of factory buildings, where you basically everything that happens on the factory floor is collected turned into data that could be used to make it more efficient or read security monitoring. So historically you might have just had the machinery. Having automations existed for many decades, but the recent last decade revolution of data, where you could collect that data and you have precision control, active control. Hey, Abbas. So here you got CNC control systems, different uses for precision monitoring, the millimeters to a thousandth of a millimeter control for CNC. You could probably even get more accurate if it was needed. And so this box here would be able to control large CNC machines that would have extreme precision. And people know the language. It's actually well paying. So you see the community colleges where you could go to community college, learn how to program these machines, and even make more money than an engineer, because just to understand this code and how these machines are coded, it isn't something they teach you in university anymore. It's more a technical training, which is interesting. And Siemens actually top, I've read a lot of their suggested reading about the current state of engineering technology. And Professor Duderstadt, who was president of University of Michigan, spoken about this thing also, the engineering and technician. And there are people here who would explain it, although I'm not a buyer, so I wouldn't be able to all the different devices, why you would prefer one or the other, what they control. But basically these are electrical control systems where these boxes would be wired to a machine, and then they would be able to directly control what the machine does. And these machines could be connected to a central computer control system. So you could have it automated, where the machine is running something automatically, or it could be controlled from the center, usually both, where it's automated, but you have the central controls that could tweak and monitor it. And I've had walkthroughs of the exact details of everything that's happening here. They're giving away nice giveaways. A mini UBS fan, come back and gather. They usually have tons of giveaways. So I'm just going to finish the stream. I'll come back. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's enough interest. Maybe I've been going to this conference every year, so maybe in future years I would be able to have experts explain. People are here. This is their livelihood. They got families to feed and bills to pay, so they want to sell stuff. There is intellectual interest where people would just explain what the stuff does and the current state of technology. But at the same time, there's people want to make a sale. So this is just sample displays of type projects that they might do, and there's probably thousands of factories all over the world that use these different type systems. Obviously Siemens makes whole portfolios and lots of these devices. And you think like beverage manufacturing, there's probably tens of thousands of different factories that have some sort of beverage manufacturer, and maybe you've never thought about how it works or how they're controlled. And there are competitors to Siemens, but they're probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And so this would be, example control system that would be used in a beverage manufacturing monitoring control system that would be completely automated and roboticized. Here, so the main thing now is the use of big data. So not just the control systems, but feeding the data of the control system back to a central data collector that would be able to display it in a useful way to people and allow them to tweak what's going on. And so here they have a few displays. Hey, yeah. Here you got real-time locating systems. I showed you Turk and the sensors. So you would have RFID devices that would be connected, and then you could have a control that would show you where everything's located in the floor. That could be useful. So I guess here's the display of what they got going on here. They actually usually pretty friendly here. So engineers are usually pretty friendly, and I got my ID, so I'm a member, but I'm an engineer, I'm a member, so people are friendly. They usually even encourage people to video, take photos, support the company. Siemens doesn't officially have an advertising budget. They make these free seminars training how to use their devices. So here's more would be what I'd be used for, which building control systems. This is the type thing you might find in a building. Siemens more commercial grade. You wouldn't find it in a house unless you had a very big house. But this is like the type electrical circuit breaker box that everyone has in their house or apartment. And obviously to control a large building would require a complicated device like the ones that are on display here. I think it's a beverage machine display, like a bottle filling. We got cans, that the complicated process of canning, where you have to have the metal can made, welded, the beverage filled, and then the top put on. And maybe, I don't know if anyone's seen machines like this before, but this is how beverages are made, and that, or different versions of this. And so the different things would be going through. They would have the different mixes that would be fed through as it comes, and then the top would be put on, and you could see the control system that monitors the temperature, the fill amount, and all the different things that the sensors would be used for. Value digitalization and security. So big data and then security is also a very large issue also. So I'm going to try to let me get the whole display here. I'm not sure. We are in Ford Field, so I could actually walk around and go to all the areas that you usually can't see. I'm not sure if I have enough demand to do that. I'm in a little bit of a hurry, but just more examples. This might be like microchip or different type factorization. And next week they actually have the foam show. Interesting, everything foam. Might go to that and live stream also. And really, for my own purposes, to watch back. I've been going to these for years, and the complications and make America great again. Manufacture in America. We need people that understand and know how to do this. So we have people from all over the world. Here, largely from Germany, some Eastern Europe, England, but mostly German. Till today, best manufacturing technologies largely come from Germany. So other demographics for different fairs will be slightly different, but still the best stuff Yeah, some comes out of Japan or South Korea, but largely the best stuff still comes out of Germany. And so to get the last of this stuff, more sensors, ATI, they've local, industrial automation, different examples of how to automate your industrial facilities. Got blow torches, welding machines on display here, the sensors. And it's all of this equipment is extremely expensive. This wouldn't be applicable. Um, Here's like um, I have whole books and books I've been reading for years, and I still can't remember what all this stuff is called, even though I've been studying this for years. Because you see how complicated it is to operate a factory floor, and really, as I say, it's beyond the power of one mind to understand. Here's a laser machine. This one's just for making like serial numbers or printing it on it. And these machines, this one might cost hundreds of $1,000s. You get cheaper ones. You could even get laser things that could carve out engines that cost millions of dollars, and God forbid, could like cut people in half, make weapons, but are used for making engines or metal devices where you have extremely powerful lasers. And we're engineers here, so people are already getting drunk. We got free food. It's a really impressive conference. Props to Siemens for doing this, and for doing it for free education, free training, and as opposed to wasting the money on trying to make cool advertising, they put on a free seminar every year that's open to everybody, and they have teaching and this digitalized, organized control, smart manufacturing, different consulting companies that will help you. So I guess that's all I'm going to do for today. That's basically a complete walkthrough of what's going on. Let me see if they got the kicking thing open. Just so now they have the floor open back up. I've never done something like that, but you could get on the floor and kick a punt. People are in line. They don't have, so I'm not going to do it. It's not my interest. Maybe next year I'll do a little bit more, but this is my first time live streaming one of these technology conferences. On Facebook, I've been taking pictures of these for years. So I'm going to sign off. Happy Purim. Everybody enjoy.